Bonjour, this is emery.brusset for letter C. I'm going to be answering some of the questions we received on social media, questions which I really welcome, so please keep them coming. Over to you, Embla, to read them out.
Thank you, Emery. So we've received some quite interesting questions this week. I'm very excited for them. To start off with, can you tell me what kind of project Samuel works on? And are there any projects which particularly suffer from this language barrier?
Samuel has been working mostly in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and he has worked for a variety of organizations, many UN, but also some bilateral Anglophone agencies. And what happens then is that the reporting, even in the UN agencies, and the interaction with the staff, with international visitors, is in English, whereas everyone speaks French or the local languages in DRC. And there are broadly two regions that do not speak the same language, and then a host of native languages. So it's a constant challenge in DRC, and it's to do with humanitarian aid, but also development projects. And here we have one of the countries which has been most internationalized by mining, by logging, by and the conflicts that take place there. So it's one of the countries where the language barrier is the most acute.
I guess going more broadly for the next question, it's interesting how technology is, or this is from the person who asked the question, it's interesting how technology is being used in this way to highlight letter C or to highlight humanitarian aid. Would it be possible to maybe explain more what you're looking for when you are evaluating?
The wave we're riding now with technology, digital technology, means that it is much more easy today than it was before to reach out to people directly, to have that kind of immediacy with people. And this has to do mostly in the aid efforts today through what are called cash-based transfers. So using mobile phones to register credits and then get value from shops in a particular area. This is becoming increasingly widespread. But there is also another aspect, which is visual information. We tend to rely a lot on statistics. These figures are very unreliable, particularly in conflict countries, especially dealing with social matters and cultural matters. So having the ability to film and see what's going on is a huge step forward. If you film, for example, a health center, and you look at who's coming in, who's attending to those who are coming in. If you do that through a film, it's much easier to understand than if you're doing it through some broad statistics of what's being done. And we now have the tools to access visual information through small teams visiting project sites, which is what we want to do one day with letter C.
So the last question is, the writer would love to know more about your thoughts on how you think humanitarian aid could be made more efficient, and does it need a total rethink in how it is delivered?
This is a big subject, obviously, and my opinion is one of many on this. But there are two things that I think we can do. One is reduce the number of layers through which the assistance goes. There are very few organizations that cut across all these layers and actually reach the beneficiaries on the ground. I could name the International Committee of the Red Cross, the ICRC, who have the ability to deploy people, what they call delegates, to the most remote parts. But most organizations prefer to subcontract that work, and that costs. And it also leads to a reduction in information and knowledge management, and it leads to lower efficiency. So the primary way is to reduce the number of sub agreements, The second would be to have a much greater emphasis to being closer to the population and understanding their means, taking into account the context and the situation a lot more than the objectives and the reporting requirements that tend to dominate. So to debureaucratize the assistance is absolutely key, and it can be done. It's not. It will shake up. It will affect organizations, but they are already being affected today by changes in funding. So now is a good opportunity to look at this question again.
Perfect. And then a sneaky fourth question, I guess, to kind of round it up. What is the future of Lattice?
Lettucey is growing. We're having more and more people joining, listening, and reposting. And what we want to do in the not so far future is begin to show you projects that are worth funding, and for then allow you to contact and communicate with the people who are on the ground, on the front lines. This is an ambition we will be explaining more in the coming weeks. Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your answers today, Emery. That is all from me. Please keep sending in your questions. This is so valuable to us.
Thank you. Thanks. And au revoir for Let Us See.